My name is Bob Carnegie. I'm the Queensland Branch Secretary of the Maritime Union of Australia. My branch, my local, covers workers who work on the water and work on the docks. Our local is 4.5 times the size of California or 3 times the size of Texas, and we have a 7,000 kilometre coastline to look after members on. We have only 2,000 members, but 2,000 of the finest trade unionists that are around anywhere. Over the last year, we have been involved in many difficult and very considerable struggles. The following testimonies are from rank and file workers. These workers include workers from DP World, which is the 5th largest terminal operator in the world, and our speaker there will talk about the struggles against corporate, a type of corporate thought control on the job. We have 2 workers from Hutchison's. Hutchison's are the largest port terminal operator in the world, and they will tell you about their heroic struggles there. We have 2 seafarers from the MV Portland who were sacked after a 70-day sit-in in a struggle for workers in their own country to actually earn wages and work in their own country. We have the struggles of working class people here. We have the struggles against globalisation of the labour market, which in the end has meant an erosion of conditions. We believe that these stories can serve as an inspiration for all people, all workers, all trade unionists in the struggle against transnational capital and their attempt to erode the working conditions and lives of average, decent, working class people. We hope you enjoy these testimonies. We hope furthermore that you find these testimonies an inspiration to the struggles that you engage with every day, and that the oldest and most important slogan of the whole trade union movement, that the workers united will never be defeated, comes through these testimonies, because our branch, our union, the working class of this world can only defeat the giant transnationals if we all bind together, and we're all bound together in the single most important word of all, and that is in solidarity.
Hello, my name's Hannah Mathewson. I'm a 25-year-old wharfie or docker from Brisbane, Australia. On the 6th of August last year, I was lying in bed when I received a text message from a number that I'd never seen before. It told me to refer to my email. Once referring to my email, I was made aware that I was no longer needed by the company I work for, Hutchison's. Quite quickly after that, I was made aware that my sister and my father had both been sacked from the same port in Sydney. This dispute was extremely personal for me because many people close to me had been affected. My whole family had been stripped of their right to work. Very quickly after that, the picket started. No trucks passed the gate into Hutchison's, no ships were loaded or unloaded, and no containers were moved in a bid for the company we once worked for to explain to us why they had sacked every single delegate, why they had subcontracted all of our ships, and why they had treated anyone with a voice in there the way they had. The picket, we got support from all corners of the earth. We got support locally from the Australian public, from politicians, from trade unions all over Australia. But the one that sits close to my heart is the international support we got. I was very lucky while the dispute was on to go overseas and meet with dockers all over the world. People who I'd never met before telling me that they had my back, they were willing to hold up ships, they were willing to stop ports in a bid for us to win the dispute we were going through. It was something that was truly empowering for me. I learnt through the affiliation with the IDC, the ITF, and along with the ILWU, that I had a family out there that consisted of hundreds and thousands of dockers. And it's something that was extremely important to me because I'd formed these friendships and I'd formed these alliances with these people, and it was something that was integral for us winning that dispute. through this, we all join into the same struggle, the same daily struggle, which is fighting for conditions, fighting for rights, and also fighting for safety, and ultimately fighting for a better future for the working class all over the world. The multinational companies, the bankers, the politicians, they may have the money, but they don't have the power. We have the power in numbers. We are militant, and we have strategy and principles, which is integral for us winning these fights. Every bond and friendship that I formed was extremely crucial to this, and it's something that just brings us closer to winning the war on the working class. We're back inside the gate now. I got my job back, my family got their job back, and it's a constant struggle, but it's a struggle that we'll continue to do because it's the right thing. I'd just like to thank everyone who's sitting in the room for their support during that dispute, and we give that wholeheartedly back to you. If you're ever in need, we'll be here for you. And as they say, we will never walk alone, and the workers united will never be defeated. Thank you.
Okay, my name's Robert Barnes. I'm 56 years old, and I used to work on the Hay Point tugs and just south of Mackay in central Queensland. Last year, BHP Billiton and their iron ore division decided to change operators on their tug fleet. The tug fleet was managed by TK Shipping, and TK managed a fleet of 14 tugs. 4 additional tugs were brought into that fleet, and BHP Billiton gave the operating contract to a company called Rivtow, a notorious non-union operator, and they operated alongside the TK fleet in competition with them. When the towage contract in Port Hedland came up for renewal, the contract was awarded to Rivtow Marine, the whole of the 18 tugs in the fleet, and some 230 odd unionised jobs were lost in Port Hedland. Rivtow operate on partnership agreements. Over on the east coast now, at Hay Point, the towage contract was up for renewal in June 30 this year. That's when it expired. TK were informed in February that their services were no longer required. So BMA over here, which is BHP Billiton Mitsubishi Alliance, that's a coal division, decided that they'd put the towage contract out to tender. 5 companies applied to tender for that contract, 4 unionised companies and 1 non-union operator being Rivtow. The companies were only given 3 weeks to do their due diligence, which is nowhere near enough time for the size of the operation that they had to do. The contract was eventually awarded to Rivtow Marine, the same non-union operator as operates over in Port Hedland. Now these partnership arrangements, they're designed for the professional occupations like doctors, dentists, lawyers, that sort of thing, where they can join into a partnership and earn profit in that partnership. It's been exploited and applied to now in the towage sector. There's other instances of this in Western Australia, but this is the first time it's been used over in the east coast of Queensland, and it's like a cancer that's going to spread throughout the industry. What these workers have to do is be part of a partnership. They're trustees belonging to a trust, answering to Rivtow. They get paid a certain amount of money, and out of which they have to pay their own tax, their own superannuation, their own insurances, public indemnity, plus insure themselves in case they damage a vessel or damage any equipment on the job. It removes the risk and liability of employment from the employer onto those group of workers. There was 12 MUA members working on the tugs at Hay Point. We were all given compulsory redundancy notices and we finished up on June 30 this year. 2 of our members have done the dishonourable thing and signed over to these partnership models. Both members have benefited from the union conditions fought for over many years by our previous members and our current members, and they have scabbed on us, and they are currently working on these tugs at Hay Point.
I'm Dale Eaton. I've been a seafarer for 10 years. I worked on a ship called the MV Portland. It was owned by Alcoa and run for 27 years on a domestic trade from WA to Victoria. Alcoa applied for a temporary licence to replace our vessel with a flag convenience vessel. We held in for 70 days to save our jobs, off wages, in hard conditions under very stressful circumstances, to save Australian jobs because the outlook on Australian jobs is very, very bad. There are no prospects now with these multinational companies getting support from governments to remove Australian workforces like us out of our jobs.
I'm Warren Hopkins, Australian seafarer. I've been at sea for 32 years. We tied up the vessel, worked a full day, and on the 13th of January they brought 30 security guards up the gangway at 10 to 1 in the morning. They barged into our cabins, 6 cabins in total, handed us a piece of paper, give us 5 minutes to pack any personal belongings we had, marched us down the gangway and left us on a dark wharf in a country town at 1:45 in the morning. No means of going anywhere or anything. As you can see, we're going through a struggle with a multinational company, Alcoa. The future employment for Australians is very dim. 2 months ago we lost the last Australian man tanker on the coast, so the prospect of us getting employment in this country as an Australian seafarer is getting harder and harder day by day. These multinational companies are just controlling our jobs and handing them away to foreign labour. Is that short?
Okay. Hello, Paul Peterson. I want to talk to you about intimidation and atomisation of our workforce down at particularly DP World ports. It's actually happening in quite a different and a lot of different areas down in our ports, but DP World are the prime example. What they've been trying to do is, and what they have been doing actually, is trying to intimidate and successfully atomise their workforce. And the process that they first started doing it with was, we have an exceptional delegate down there. He helped write the EBA. He basically knows that EBA backwards. They dislike the guy for it because he keeps them accountable to that EBA. So they started an allegation that this man was accused of saying at a social work barbecue, he was accused of saying union members will get 2 sausages, non-union members will get 1 sausage. It sounds pretty funny and it sounds like it's a bit of a humorous thing, but out of that investigation came 3 months of investigation. They interviewed up to about 18 people in line with that investigation to find out if this comment was said. After 3 months of very intimidating interviews, they come to the conclusion that it was never said and it never happened. They spent thousands and thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours in investigating that, and the MUA had to do the same to counteract the investigation. The money was spent by DP World. They spent that money wisely as far as they're concerned because it scared the hell out of everybody in their workforce. What they did was they made sure that everybody understood the key delegate was under a heavy investigation, under a big load of pressure, and nobody could talk to anybody else about non-union or union membership within the workforce. So the money they spent was, as far as they're concerned, was well spent because it scared the hell out of the whole workforce and atomised the workforce in essentially no one would talk to anyone anymore. Delegates were too scared to put their heads up. Everybody got frightened for their own jobs and everybody got scattered. So after they did that investigation, which I said took about 3 months, there was a situation of real violence and real intimidation down there by a non-union member down there, a non-union employee, who was accused of, and can I use profanities on this? He was accused of saying some outrageous gestures which went along the lines of, you effing MUA-Cs are all a bunch of piss-weak people and you don't belong down here on the waterfront. The company investigated that because there was 8 people brought it to their attention that this non-member had said that. The company investigated and said, yes, this did happen. There was well and truly, 8 people collaborated and said, yes, this happened. The guy who was accused of saying it said, yes, I did say it, and I raised my fist in anger while I was saying that. The company's investigation come to the conclusion that he didn't personally intimidate anyone, he didn't personally threaten anyone, he threatened the MUA or the union movement as an entity or as a whole, and they didn't find that offensive at all. So they asked the guy to go back to work as normal, and everything was kosher as far as DP World were concerned. Now they've started the third investigation, and the third investigation is it's a private investigation. It's a ex-federal police officer, as far as I understand, and his office is about 10 kilometres away from the port. People are asked to go there by their company to do a private interview, which I've been attending every single one. As you walk in, they sit down and they interview. They turn on a recorder and record everything you say. They are trying to establish, is there a non-union or a sexual harassment atmosphere in DP World's workplace. Whether they find this to be true or not true is really irrelevant, I think, because the whole purpose of this is to scare everyone once again, same as the Sausage Gate incident, which happened with our delegate was accused of the sausage statement. So the whole purpose of it is to try and divide, conquer and scare the whole workforce. So the whole idea of DP World trying to atomise their workforce has been fought hard and fought against by the MUA, and we're doing a very good job. We're starting to get strength and the feel of we run the job, they don't run the job back onto the wharf. And thanks to the IDC and the World organised the day that was a World Action, had a big impact on that momentum. So we look forward to working further with the IDC and the MUA as two great entities of the union movement.
Good morning, my name's Damien McGarry. I'm currently filling in the Brisbane office at the moment under Bob Carnegie, doing some organising work. I was an employee at Hutchinson Ports. I was brought up here 3 years ago from Sydney. I was originally poached from my port, which was Patrick Stevedores in Sydney, because I was one of the highest ranked stevedores in Australia. I come up here to help start their port in Brisbane. I was actually head picked. There was myself and about another 4 other people that were brought around from around Australia to help get the port up and running. Anyway, so being my history over 20 years on the waterfront, always been a delegate. So naturally I took that role upon myself up here as well. We had a good relationship when we originally started at Hutchinson Port with the then terminal manager. We no lost time. We were doing 14-hour shifts to keep the port going because there was only 40 employees at that stage, all 100% union membership. We, anyway, probably about 2.5 years down the track, they sacked all the current terminal manager, the human resources, and another shift manager at that stage, and they brought in a whole new management team. As soon as this new management team come in, the HR actually said, I've come here in particular to get 2 people, which was myself, Damien McGarry, and another, my second delegate, which was Barry Goldthorpe. He says, I've come to get these 2 people. I had not even met this man at that stage, so this is sort of the attacks we're coming under by Hutchinson Ports. I was sacked 3 weeks before the initial text we received, which sacked us all at midnight, but I was a target from day one. I then went down to the Fair Work Commission. We, myself and Bob Carnegie, tried to get myself reinstated, which we did at one stage there, only to receive a text by midnight with the rest of the employees. There was no reason for them to attack us except for our union background. We every HSR, every union delegate was sacked by text, and they kept a group of 30 people inside the gate, which they thought that would conform to their what they saw the conditions they'd want to work Hutchinson Ports under. They come into Australia, HPH, as a union-friendly operator, and as you well know, 3 years later they turned that all around just so they could get within the industry in Australia. So these are the battles we undertake day in and day out. It's just trade union bashing. The strength of the IDC was actually got us through the battle with HPH and actually got them to the table. They weren't willing to talk to the Brisbane or the Australian MUA. The only time they come to the table was with the threat of Barcelona standing down at one of our Hutchison ports. So the united strength of the Union Arm is actually what got us across the line. So it's a great pleasure that we're entering into a partnership with the IDC, and we look forward to working with you, trade union men and women, in the future. Thank you.